Library Week sounds like a rather banal way for library organisations to try and encourage people to visit libraries. But in 1992, they went a step further and actually called on people to turn off their television set, which led to a really strange situation happening: television versus books. The media landscape in New Zealand in 1992 was very different to what we have today. There were only 3 channels up and running for a start, and most people got their daily news from newspapers or from the 6 p.m. bulletins, with a little bit coming in from radio, which wasn't anywhere near as commercialised or deregulated as it is today, which led to a really interesting situation when the New Zealand Libraries Association decided that for Library Week that week, they were going to call on people to turn off their television set for a week and try to read a book, which in theory makes a lot of sense because, what's television going to lose by nobody watching it for a week? It shouldn't have hit advertising revenue that hard, it shouldn't have lost anybody their jobs. Essentially, it was just a week where people weren't watching the news that way, they were just going to be reading a book instead, and that's got to be good for libraries, right? So it's quite surprising when people got up in arms about this. You see, there were some big names who actually endorsed the move and what they called the Great New Zealand Television Turn-Off. These people included Prime Minister Jim Bolger, Leader of the Opposition Mike Moore, authors like Kerry Hume and Margaret Mayhew. In fact, Margaret Mayhew wrote an introduction to a 35-page guidebook that was produced by libraries associations to go out to schools, encouraging people to take a week off television. But TV3, which called the project silly, and TVNZ, which saw it as a complete waste of people's time, were not impressed by this. And so they went about saying it was kind of pointless to actually do anything like this. It's not going to stop people from watching television. It's not going to discourage audiences out there. So it became a little bit of a media battleground between the two, the library associations and New Zealand broadcasters. And the winner is actually, well, it was a tie. You see, AGB McNair, the company that was tasked with working out ratings for television shows, pointed out that there was a 1% drop of viewership across the board over 24-hour periods during that week, which doesn't sound like very much, and statistically, they pointed out this was really insignificant. However, the Libraries Association pointed out that for a 1% drop in television viewership, you need 10% of New Zealand's population to hit that mark, which meant for them, they felt like this was a win. And as far as the TV companies were concerned, they felt like it was kind of pointless and insignificant, so they classified it as a win. In reality, what actually happened though was a few people read a few more books, but it didn't really change the way that people watched or interacted with media in this country. TVNZ pointed out whenever they put out a book or a movie, TV show, anything like that based on a book, that sales and interest in that media actually increases. So they saw their role as being a little bit more important to helping people read than just being a distraction from people reading. And ultimately what ended up happening was this became some sort of weird, notorious kink in the history of New Zealand National Library Week. Now, National Library Week doesn't happen anymore. It actually finished about 12 years ago, but it was probably the most notorious of all National Library Weeks. And when it comes to libraries, notorious is not something that happens very often. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to like, share and subscribe, where you can learn a whole bunch of other random stuff like the time that a small town sold its name to a lingerie company, or what the mysterious mystery is behind the mystery of Mystery Creek. Otherwise, feel free to tune in and listen to some of the other stuff that we've got. Check out the vlog or some of the strange short films that people seem to be enjoying for some weird reason.